Hello and welcome to the last session of Internship Week. We are thrilled today to talk to the participants of the NASA ARCS program. This is the reason why I saved them for last. They are one of the most popular sessions from Internship Week. So we have a poll that we're launching right now. So please, if you could fill out this information, we would greatly appreciate it. We want to know what you know about the NASA ARCS program. Let's see. And we have 72 participants, so we hope to get you all on the call. It says 65. A few more, if you will, please fill it out. In the meantime, I'll introduce myself. My name is Jan Potsman. I'm an assistant director at the Career Center, and I oversee internships for the CSUN Career Center. I'd like to welcome Joe Batista. Joe is currently an associate professor of art and design at the Mike Kerb College of Arts, Media, and Communication at Cal State Northridge. Professor Joe Batista has over 20 years of experience. Come on. Technology. Sorry, Joe. There we go. He has over 20 years of experience as a creative strategist, designer, and consultant with an emphasis on user experience and user interface and branding. For the past 11 years, he has served as the director of Intersect LA, an on-campus high-impact academic center focused on creative strategy and user experience design methodologies. Professor Batista is also a founding faculty member and currently serving as the associate director of the NASA-sponsored Autonomy Research Center for STEAM, where his expertise on communication, strategy, symbology, and interface design further the development of the research projects, particularly in the thrust of human autonomy teaming with explainable AI. Professor Batista continues to explore opportunities for creative collaboration to spark innovation and change while helping to mentor student success in the creative workforce. Welcome, Professor Batista and team.
Thank you, Jan. I appreciate the Career Center and this internship week. It's a great opportunity for us to come and speak and welcome students. I know I'm gonna spam the chat here, but can you guys just all type your major in really quick? I'm just curious, just from a quick scanning of the chat, just really curious what all 40 or 50 of you, what your major is, just so I can get a quick glimpse. I know that the person monitoring the chat is like, what are you doing? All right. I want to introduce really quickly Kiana Samoy. If you just want to quickly say hello, we'll go over titles and everything that we do in a second, but Kiana, just a quick 10-second intro.
All right, thank you, Joe. Hello, everyone. My name is Kiana Samoy. I'm a senior here at CSUN. I'm studying business analytics, and I will be graduating this spring. A little bit about me is I actually found out about ARCS through this for the Career Center. And because of ARCS, I've been able to learn a lot about autonomy, research it on my own, and eventually with the connections that I built with this center, I was able to secure a summer internship. It has now been extended to a year-long internship at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California. So that's a little bit about me, and we'll get into that a bit later. Thank you.
Yeah. And she's zooming from there now, so that is an actual JPL real desk, not a Zoom background. Nice office there. And then I want to introduce Tina Garcia, who's our operations analyst. Really quickly, Tina, if you wanted to say hello.
Yes, thank you, Joe. Hi, everybody. My name is Christina. I am the administrative operations analyst here at ARCS. So that means I have my hands in almost every aspect of ARCS. I basically oversee the office here and every one of our students. If you are ever curious or have any questions, please feel free to email us. I can always, well, other than Joe going ahead and letting us know about what we're about. If you ever want to come visit the ARCS Center, you can. I'm here Monday through Friday. We do have open space for students. So for future reference, if you guys do join ARCS, you guys can always hang out here and spend time with me and get to know me. Okay, I'll let you take over, Joe.
All right, thank you. So that's two faces that you'll see should you, and hopefully you will, become part of our organization in some capacity. One of the reasons why we're the most popular, and I'm not saying that to like say, oh, it's because of this logo down here in the bottom right corner, that NASA logo. So you guys all wear NASA shirts and NASA hoodies, and so, you know, it's the government organization, U.S. government organization that's sending people to the moon and Mars and beyond, right? And so, of course, this sounds interesting when you see a list of internship opportunities that would bring 75 of you out, and we love that. We love that the student interest and opportunity for NASA, engagement with NASA, or research in NASA is something that our students are very interested in. And obviously, see a range here. Of course, computer science, mechanical engineering, but I'll explain a little bit more on why we call it the Autonomy Research Center for STEAM and not STEM. But as I said, my name's Professor Joe Bautista. I think I've already said that. This slide, our website is arcs.center, and I will explain a little bit what our center represents, what we stand for, and how we operate, and how this all ties to opportunities at NASA and JPL. We'll have our information, contact information at the end, emails, all that kind of stuff, as well as application information and websites and so forth and so on. So all this stuff will be available. And then questions, go ahead and type them in the chat. I'll try to scan my eye. I'll try to save them for the end, but if they're really relevant to what I'm talking about at that moment, I will definitely pause and try to answer that question. So don't be shy about asking questions as we go along. All right, so we already did introductions. Okay, so STEM or STEAM, the way we altered it, we're a chartered center at CSUN, meaning we're a center or institute that is doing research or creative work as an independent center that's usually tied to a college or a department. We're a university center, meaning that we're tied to all 7 colleges. We have faculty, over 20 faculty that are in the arts, media, and communication, which is me. We have social and behavioral sciences, business. I'm going to forget some of the colleges, humanities, health and human development, and of course, computer science and engineering, and then science and math. But the STEAM, we kind of took the STEAM term and did our own version here, where the S is the sciences, the T is technology and engineering. Actually, that should be entrepreneurship. Oh no, the E is entrepreneurship. Sorry, T is technology and engineering. The E is entrepreneurship and business. The A is art and design. The H is humanities, and the M is mathematics. And what we're really trying to do is we've taken the term multidisciplinary and we're kind of now using the term transdisciplinary, and we really want to own that, because we want this organization, we want this center at CSUN to really represent all the different types of majors and all the different types of needs that an organization like NASA may need. Of course, they need mechanical engineers. Of course, they need astrophysicists. Of course, they need mechanical engineers and computer science developers and programmers, but they also need writers, and they also need business analysts, and they also need artists and PR communication specialists, and even just operations individuals. And so those are the type of opportunities that we can bring to students and make those connections from CSUN and ARCS to NASA. All right. Let me play a video, because this will kind of, we made this hype video a few years ago, and I think it's still a good one to sort of talk about what our mission and vision is. Oh, you can't see that. Hold on. It's always complicated. Been doing this for 2 years and it still is. Your sharing screen is paused. What is that? I want it queued up. Sorry, all. Let me play it this way. Yeah, okay. Now you can see it. Now it's full screen, yes? I can't see you or hear you, but just somebody say yes.
Yes, Joe.
It's jokes. It's good.
Okay, thank you. Here we go.
By combining the knowledge, experience, and talents of faculty and students
from across CSUN, including
science,
technology and engineering, entrepreneurship and business,
art and design,
humanities,
and mathematics.
The Autonomy Research Center for STEAM, also known as ARCS,
is a NASA-funded multidisciplinary university center of excellence.
Our vision is to be a global leader in education, research, and commercialization of increasingly autonomous systems.
we converge.
We converge.
we converge
We converge.
we converge. We converge.
in our desire
Our research
to advance our education,
A new trajectory together.
To make an impact,
societal impact.
to help improve our world.
Today we converge to launch
The Autonomy Research Center for STEAM, ARCS.
So that was a, oh, let me pause the video. So that was a video that was produced by CTVA students under my direction. So there's a lot of science communication that we do as well. So there's opportunities for all different types of fields and experiences to get involved in this. And we also had one of the first interns that ever went to our ARCS. One of the first ever ARCS students that went out to get an internship was a design and art major. She did some visual design and web design for a contract position through Raytheon. So all these things are, again, the pathways are different, but if you really love NASA as an organization, JPL as an organization, there's many ways that we can help get you there. All right, back to the presentation. I'll close that because I was having issues. All right. Oh, I could have played it through there. Who knew? So this is our team at Armstrong, in one of the hangars in Armstrong. But a quick just recap is that we're a NASA-sponsored center of excellence. So we've received a grant from NASA to basically create this startup organization. And really, its ultimate mission is engage underserved and underrepresented students to engage with NASA through research and career or any sort of opportunities. And any way we can be a bridge to that is really one of our missions, one of our pillars. But ultimately, when we created our center, we wanted to make sure that there was a focus, and that happens to be autonomy or increasingly autonomous systems. And so we needed to make sure that our center had a focal point, sort of the roots. And so even though our students are doing autonomy research, it doesn't mean that you're building robots and coding these systems. A lot of it is behavioral science as well as, and psychology, and the anthropology students are doing research on social acceptance. And some of the anthropology and psychology students are doing research on diabetes research related to autonomy, right? And so a lot of our projects, majority are NASA and JPL related, but we do have some outlier projects, like one of our projects called the WATT project, which deals with autonomy and waste management. And then the stuff we're doing with Medtronic deals with autonomy in diabetes, creating a pancreas that is a fully autonomous system, and not having to rely on, well, that's far down research, but that's the type of research that students are doing, and the type of topics that students are collaborating with these other industry partners besides JPL and NASA. A little bit of some numbers here to kind of hype you up and get you to understand. We're starting our 4th year cohort. So that's what this is all about, is we're trying to get you to be to apply and hopefully become a cohort. And I'll talk about pathways to becoming an intern at NASA and JPL through ARCS. That's really what this is about. But we have 2 more years of funding, so we have a 4th and 5th year, and probably we'll go beyond that. We have over 35 NASA-supported research projects, probably close to 20 to 25 NASA and JPL scientists that are involved in that. We have over 20 faculty representing the center, and each cohort for the past 3 years, we're finishing our 3rd year cohort. We have close to 30 fellows and close to another 30 to 40 associates, and I'll explain what that is later. So over 80 undergraduate and graduate student researchers involved in our center through these 20 faculty. In the past 2 years, we placed 31 interns at NASA and JPL. So about 12 to 15 interns in the first 2 years, and then, about 15 to 17 interns in these past 2 years. And most of them have been remote because of the pandemic, but just now we're starting to get students to go and do these internships, and hopefully in the near future they'll get to be in San Jose or Langley, Virginia, or in Dallas, Texas, or Houston, Texas, sorry. And like I said earlier, it's not just all NASA and JPL that we work on. There are some other projects that stem from our autonomy research and Medtronic with health equity and diabetes, and then LA Waste Management with autonomous waste sorting methods. I'll leave it at that. And, if you join that project, you'll understand more about that. And so we have what we call our research thrusts. This can kind of get heavy when you first see it, but because we are a transdisciplinary center, you're seeing different types of research in autonomy in law, autonomy in zero waste, manufacturing, social acceptance of autonomy, social and moral issues when it comes to autonomy, and then trustable autonomy and human machine teamwork, explainable AI. That's the idea that if systems that are trying to help make our lives easier, how do we make sure they work? But how do we make sure humans trust it? And how does an autonomous system communicate to a human to make sure that it's doing its job, and that we'll leave it at that it's doing its job. The student roles that we have here at ARCS are researchers, writers, creatives, communicators, coders, visionaries. A lot of our student projects, I invite you to come to some of our sessions that we have every 2 weeks or every month, where the students present about their research, and you get an opportunity to kind of listen to what they're doing. And again, they come from fields of all the engineering fields, psychology, art and design, journalism, anthropology, and business. That seems to be where the core of our students are coming from. Really good questions. I will get to these later. So pathways. So I know this was an internship session, and again, Kiana can talk about her process later, but how can you engage with ARCS? And I really want to focus on these 2 pathways. Number 1 is get a fellowship or associateship at ARCS. And what that does is it means I'll explain it in a second. Oh yeah, next slide, we'll explain that. But pathway number 2 is an internship at NASA and JPL through ARCS. And so these are the 2 main pathways. If you really like to work with ARCS and work with JPL and NASA, pathway 1 is to do a fellowship or an associateship, which is faculty mentored, and you get direct engagement with a NASA or JPL scientist on a research project. Number 2 is be part of ARCS and apply for an internship through the NASA STEM Gateway, but utilize ARCS as a connecting point so that you can then see if we have you in a database, and if there's a project that NASA or JPL that becomes an internship related project, ARCS can go ahead and fund that, and then help be that conduit to make sure that you get that internship or opportunity at JPL and NASA. I know it's confusing, but here I go into details. All right, so pathway number 1A is the fellowship. It's a 1-year research project with faculty and NASA mentors, as I just stated. We fund you for $7,000 for the whole year if you're an undergraduate student, and $9,000 for a whole year if you're a graduate student. You'll work under a faculty mentor, and you will conduct research based on whatever the research topic that the faculty may already be working on, Or if the timing is right and you work with the faculty very closely, you can propose a new research topic to conduct during that year. All right. So some of you that may be graduate students can leverage your thesis and work with the faculty collaborator and work with the NASA or JPL collaborator to then kind of conduct this research and use your funding and use the faculty and use JPL to allow you to then be able to complete your graduate thesis as well. So that's fellowship. It's a funded year-long commitment from students who apply and get accepted. All right. A lot of our fellows during this get first access to internships. And that's why pathway number one, even though it's a fellowship through ARCS, you are the first in line to be offered internships from NASA and JPL should they align and are seeking students from ARCS. All right. Pathway 1B is an associateship. It's still part of a one-year research project with faculty and NASA mentors, but this is done on a volunteer basis. And so sometimes our fellows that get accepted and funded were associates the year before because they understood how ARCS work. They may have not got accepted to the fellowship, but then they took the associateship. Then the year later, they applied for the fellowship, then got funded, then got to complete or conduct the research. And again, I could explain this more in detail. I know it's kind of going really fast, and I know there's a lot of ship words in here, but we'll make sure to explain this all to you. And there's a FAQ in the link that we'll provide you later. Pathway number 2 is an internship through ARCS, meaning, like I said, ARCS funds students internships at JPL and NASA. And so NASA says, I have a project. They approach CSUN and ARCS and says, we can help fund it if you hire one of our students or bring on one of our students. We then go through our pool of applicants, figure out whether it's the right fit. You apply to the NASA STEM Gateway. NASA likes you. CSUN likes you. ARCS likes you. You get the internship. And that's a secondary pathway to get a direct internship. This will still require research and work, but you're not necessarily a fellow. And again, this is where it gets very confusing, but we have many different ways. Ultimately, what I'm trying to tell everybody here is apply to ARCS. Let us know what you're interested in so that we can figure out a way to serve and help those applicants that qualify. All right. During this 10-week internship, students will be funded the same amount, $7,000 for undergraduate students, $9,000 for graduate students. All right. So instead of doing a year-long research project, you're doing a 10 to 16 week internship at NASA or JPL, and you're getting the same amount. And so that's a good pathway as well. All right. I do want to pause there. Any questions on that? Any questions related to that? I see a lot of questions that might not relate to that, but if you have a question directly related to that, you are allowed to type it out now. Okay, I can continue. Fellowship paid. Kiana's simplifying it all for you all. So the past 2 years, JPL 18, Kiana being one of them, NASA Armstrong 8, these are interns. NASA Ames, which is up in San Jose 3. Langley, which is in Virginia 1, that was remote. And then we have one at Goddard right now, which is remote as well, and that's 1. And there's a few more that I might be missing there. Again, computer science, very heavy on computer science. They need the coders, the developers, and just the thinking of a computer science or a computer engineering major. But we do have business majors and psychology majors and geographical information systems and mechanical engineers and electrical engineers. And then 3 art and design students have accepted internships as well at some point. All right. So that's the numbers. The website, arcs.center, that's if you just want to learn about ARCS as a whole. And then ARCS application to become a fellow or an associate, or to just be in our database so that we could see that you exist. And then if an internship should come along, we'll be able to get that information and connect it to a faculty researcher or to a JPL or NASA researcher, is arcs.center/engage. We begin application review October 31. It's a rolling deadline. We used to have a hard deadline, but this year we're doing a rolling deadline, positions until filled, open until filled. We want to make sure that students have more time, but at the same time, the 31st is when we start reviewing. And if there's solid applications at that point, those students will get the priority, or at least get their applications looked at first. All right. So it's not a deadline, but I would if you're considering this and definitely serious, go to the Engage page, read the qualifications, read the FAQ, and apply. It really just comes down to applying. When you see the faculty names in the application and on our website, email. Just say, hey, I saw you as a faculty member, and I'm applying to ARCS, and I just want to let you know I exist, and here's my information, and I hope that you review my application. And so don't be a stranger. I think that's the biggest thing, is students think that they're not allowed to contact these faculty members. And I didn't necessarily say they're going to get contacted, but I think anything you can do to make a connection prior to them reading the application is a good thing. I work that way as well, because it shows that you're passionate and have the desire and have interest to want to do it. So don't spam them, but at the same time, a courteous email introduction to let them know that you've applied is not a terrible or bad thing. All right, I'm going to answer some of these because these qualify for some of the stuff I've been talking about. What are some of the qualifications that best to be considered for an internship? How could I get a chance to be considered for an internship? It really varies, right? The thing about ARCS and it's under the Miro program, which is an opportunity for underserved, underrepresented, minority serving institutes to engage with NASA, is that the criteria is really open-ended. Some of you are thinking, I must have a 4.0, I must be an honors, I must be, that's highly desirable, but at the same time, they want to seek out students that are passionate as well. And so GPA isn't the deciding factor. If your research and your statement and the domain of work that you do is something interesting to the NASA collaborator or the scientist that's seeking the internship, he or she is going to look at that and look at your skill set more than your grades. I would say one of the biggest, and I'm going to admit this now, one of the biggest issues though is the US citizenship. And I have to be very transparent about that. It's a US government agency. And so I'd say 95% of the opportunities require you to be a US citizen or a legal resident, right? So it doesn't disqualify you. It's just that there's certain projects you might not be able to work on. There are very few projects they'll allow you to work on as a non-citizen, but it's just the rules. That doesn't mean you can't be part of ARCS though. So if you want an internship at JPL and NASA, 95% opportunities probably have to be a US citizen or legal resident. But to work at ARCS and be a fellow or an associate, we don't require that all students be US citizens. All right, so hopefully that answered some of that. I wouldn't say that there's a best pathway. I say apply, get your application in front of these faculty, and then see what happens. And then of course, contact myself, Kiana, or Christina if you have any questions. Resumes are not required in the application. At least I don't think they are. But we do ask for links to like your LinkedIn and any other information that you can share. You will eventually be interviewed by one of the faculty members or a NASA or JPL collaborator. That's when the resume will be needed, and they'll probably ask you to send it to them at that point. I'll have the link to apply for the ARCS fellowship is the arcs.center/engage that you see here.
I can share it, Joe.
Okay, thank you. And do you have to apply ASAP? 31st, Kiana's handling the chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And okay, last bit information here, NASA STEM Gateway. Let me share this really quickly. So let's say you don't want to work with ARCS. Let's say you don't want to do a fellowship. Let's say you don't want to be involved at ARCS at all. well, that's okay too. And I'm going to tell you how to get an internship at NASA or JPL without involving any of us. So last year, a business student went to this event and said, Joe, I really appreciate your presentation, but I don't have time to do a fellowship or internship, but I really want to work at NASA. And he's a marketing major. And I said, you don't have to go through us at all. Go to the NASA STEM Gateway, which is right here. If you Google NASA STEM Gateway, you could do this independently. You can go in here and apply and there's dozens of opportunities. The NASA STEM Gateway representative that I met with last year said some of the application deadlines pass, but that means you shouldn't apply to them. Still throw your name in there, and look at what they're looking for, and make sure to put those keywords into your resume and application. So if they're looking for a specific topic, read the description, and then when you write your resume or when you write your statement, make sure to include some of those keywords that they're looking for, and hopefully you do those things and include them in your statements, because that is a quick way to make sure that your application gets looked at. So like I said, third way for immediate access to NASA and JPL is, or NASA, JPL has a different gateway. Apply to this. And the student that saw this last year applied, got the internship, sent me a thank you, and was never involved at ARCS at all. But the fact that ARCS at least guided him to there, that counts in my book as helping a student get to the finish line. All right, Kiana, I'll let you take over, and questions and anything like that. Ready for it.
All right, awesome, Joe. Oh, go ahead.
So go ahead, Kiana, talk a little bit about, you were here last year. What was your process to where you are now? How about that?
All right. I'll give you like a short, brief thing because I can talk about how much I love NASA for 5 hours in a row. But a little bit about me is last year, I was actually watching the same presentation. And I remember thinking, oh my God, it's always been my dream to work at NASA. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. And Joe was presenting as well. And I saw that same hype video and I was like, yes, yes. And then while I was filling out the application, I was like, you know what, should I even apply? Like, I'm not going to get in. I'm not, like, I feel like I can't compare to these people. So for anyone who's watching this and thinking like, is it possible for me to go to NASA and to work with NASA and to collaborate on autonomous research? Before you doubt yourself, just know that you are completely capable and possible. You can do all of this work. So you are your biggest enemy. So my biggest piece of advice for applying is don't overthink it and apply, because joining ARCS and joining NASA has been the biggest stepping stone to getting me into my dream company right after graduation. So I applied and I found out January of this year. And from then I joined onto 2 projects, the Workers in Technology Together project, as well as Joe's PR and communications team. And later on, I recently just joined onto our Steam Bubble team, which is we're building a 60,000 square foot autonomous research facility here at CSUN. So that's what I did up until, let's say, March, April. I started to apply on my own for internships at JPL and NASA. And I was able to secure a business analyst internship here at JPL. And I will like to say that having ARCS on your resume is definitely a huge thing that sets you apart from many of the other candidates. I did have other offers from other NASA facilities across the country, but in terms of feasibility, I definitely wanted to stay here close to home where I can go on lab and participate in person. So a little bit about me. I started off in the Autonomous Systems Division, and I work closely with division management. And I've actually been able to create a pipeline from CSUN to JPL for our students. Along with that is I've recently moved to the JPL robotics section, and I love it so much. One really cool thing that we have here at JPL is that if you're a business major, you can be embedded within the technical section. And I saw that there are people who are part of information systems, supply chain management, and business law, and that's totally needed here in the business sections at JPL. Another thing is, many people don't know that we need a lot of PR, communications, marketing, screenwriting, anthropology, historian people at JPL to preserve what we are doing and how we're changing humanity for the greater. So that's a little bit of my background. I really love it. Every day I come to work and I talk to the lead scientists on Mars 2020 and people who are prepping for our newest mission about to launch Europa Clipper in 2024. So that's a little bit about my background here at ARCS. And I can't wait to graduate because most likely I'll be returning to JPL afterwards. So thank you.
Thank you, Kiana. And some of the perks, we do at least one site visit each year. So one site visit to Armstrong, NASA, and then at least 2 to 3 site visits to JPL. The reason why you see 18 students that went to JPL, it's the closest NASA center to us. They're just out in Pasadena. So that's why the majority of our students are JPL focused. And if you do a little bit of the history, JPL is like sort of a NASA center, but sort of an education center because they're tied to Caltech. But they're still one of the top 10, 12, or one of the 10, 12 NASA centers throughout the United States. But again, because of its proximity, we do the most research and opportunity with them. And I've been to JPL at least a dozen times in the past year because we're always visiting and working on something, cooking something up for our students. All right. Any other questions?
There's some questions that I wanted to answer in the beginning. Is it too late to apply for summer 2023 internships? No.
No.
Right now is the best time to apply.
Yes.
Please check out NASA STEM Gateway that Joe previously mentioned, and then also check out JPL Jobs. That's where you would find the internships for JPL. Another question from Samantha is, for internships, do you have to have the vaccine? Highly recommended. And if you don't have it, you have to provide documentation for a medical exemption. Michael said, does ARCS have any opportunities related to robotics, cybersecurity, quantum/cloud computing? Yes. Does ARCS accept international students majoring in mechanical engineering? Yes, we do accept international students to participate in our research. When it comes to collaborating on a NASA-sponsored project or applying for an internship at NASA, it is possible for international students to get an internship. However, it is very challenging to get that, but it's not impossible. And I'm happy to work with you to secure a spot as well. Time commitment, it ranges from 5 to 10, 15 hours a week, depending on your role. Fellowships are held to a higher standard of the time commitment, while associates are volunteer positions. Let's see, can we do it both ways? Both pathways, 1A, 1B, and 2?
Yes, the answer is yes. The funding becomes an issue, but then if your internship becomes funded by JPL, then you could absolutely do it, because Kiana is a fellow. She kind of volunteered at first, became a fellow, and then became a JPL intern, and now is deeply involved with our center as a whole. She helps manage some programs at our center as well. So the answer,
and the director.
Yes,
I help manage the director.
That is true. Our director is a very busy person, but 100%, you could do all of the above if you really are passionate about arts and really passionate about NASA and JPL.
Ellen said, is the last semester graduate student eligible for any of these pathways? What do you think, Joe?
If you can somehow make a commitment to continuing the research beyond your graduation, we'll fund you. But if you completely have to cut ties, then you just don't receive your full funding. If it's only like a few weeks, then not possible. But if you do want to continue and know that you want to do your research into February, March, April, May, June, or whatever, it's possible. To get an internship, 1,000% possible, because you would just get the internship and then that's it, right? There's no, after the internship, there's no commitment beyond that.
Totally. The next person asks, which pathway would you suggest is the best way? And the best way to answer it is whatever fits in your schedule. If you cannot commit if you cannot commit at least 10 hours a week to this, I would suggest maybe an associate position. If you can commit the time, please apply for a fellowship. And of course, if you have your summers open, definitely look into NASA JPL internships. Are these opportunities available to recent grads?
No, unfortunately, that would be no. Unless you independently go get an internship, then it has nothing to do with us. And because NASA does, and JPL, even though they say current students, sometimes they will take a recent grad. I've had a student that graduated and did the internship after her graduation. So there is a possibility to just do it independently of ARCS and just go through the NASA STEM gateway and get the internship that way.
All right, the next person asked, how can one work on 2 projects instead of 1? That's exactly what I did in the beginning. I split my time equally between the PR comms team and workers in technology together. Sorry, I'm just going through the questions.
Yeah, I'm just throwing this up here too, just if you want to write our emails down.
Oh yes, and feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. I do answer both my email and LinkedIn. Okay, Mohammed said, Kiana, how was the interview? How many stages for my JPL interview? So I applied through their portal. I then got an email from the hiring manager asking if I would be available to speak that same week. And I said, yeah. We did a phone interview and it went really well, like 30 minutes. We both connected. He called me back the next day, giving me an offer. And then from there, I did all the paperwork and was onboarded. And I started in June. But I am on the business side. I'm not entirely sure how the technical side works, but I definitely think it's only 1 interview for internships. Harriet said, I've applied to JPL previously for their internship programs, but never got a call. Is there any tip that you would suggest for me to include on my resume to be considered? Totally.
Have ARCS in there.
That's the biggest one. Yes. Join ARCS.
Join ARCS. Because it's a quick pathway to, they want to do work with CSUN. Some of our students there, or some of the alum there, they look for ARCS in the resume. And again, I'm going to be straightforward with you. It's because we fund the internship. It doesn't come out of JPL's pocket. I know this is being broadcast, but that's the reality too, is that you get the in because the NASA has already funded ARCS to support students to get in there. So you're getting a bit of a head start because we'll fund that internship and it doesn't come out of ARCS, out of NASA's budget. So
I'd like to add something there. In addition to that, I think another reason why ARCS is also prestigious, first of all. Second of all, they know that JPL knows that you are getting support, that the students are getting support from CSUN and the ARCS program. So I think that is another reason why it makes it easier to make that connection, because that is a question that I get asked all the time from employers. And that question is about, what kind of support do the students get on the CSUN side? And you've got a whole office behind you in a program. So I just wanted to add that.
I hate to leave so abruptly, but I'm at a conference right now and I have to head out to a session, but I don't leave because that's why I brought Kiana here. She's going to answer the rest of the questions and she handles more of this stuff than and that I do. So I'm going to say bye to everyone. Please don't hesitate to email me and join ARCS. And then Tina and Kiana will stay on board to answer any questions. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Let me get back to some questions. Alrighty. And to add on to the person who asked about what should you include in your resume. So besides joining ARCS, I do like to put on resume workshops, especially I'm planning to do one in the very beginning when you get onboarded for ARCS, because there's certain ways that NASA likes to read your resume, just to make sure it's scannable. And I'll go into that a little bit later. Is this meeting being recorded? Yes, it is.
Kiana, we have a question from Lucas.
Okay, what is it?
Stated, I'm extremely interested in ARCS, but someone who commutes and has a full-time job, is there any way to contribute and participate as an associate, possibly remotely?
Yes. So that's the beauty of ARCS. Our offices are hybrid. So we have like a really great OWL camera, and a lot of our students also commute as well, myself included. It takes me like an hour to get home and back. So having these meetings virtually is such a blessing. And our professors and your principal investigators are always so great to work with your schedule. So please don't be afraid to apply just because of that. So apply. Remote work is possible. There may be some times where you might have to carve out 3 or 4 hours in your schedule to go to a site visit, but please apply, Lucas. All right, Henry said, is ARCS easy to apply to? Tina, I'm going to direct that over to you.
Well, I think it's easy to apply. I did send the application process, the link here in the chat, but it's just on our website. If you want to take a look on our website, I know Joe sent that earlier, arcs.center.com. And then you just go to Join ARCS. It's one of the tabs on the top right corner, and click there, and then the application is listed there maybe 3 times on that page. I think the most difficult part of that application process is basically you as individuals expressing your dedication, your achievements, and your dedication, I guess, or passion for research. That's probably the most difficult questions on there. Everything else is pretty generic. Name, email, major, listing references if you have them. And then of course, selecting professors and projects on the application. I would highly suggest that you all go onto our website and review those projects and faculty members that you think you might be able to, that you would want to work with the most. That's maybe some prep for that.
Can we add multiple references to different projects or keep it to one reference? Multiple references. And can you add a link to your resume in that section? Yes, you can. Lyric said, so to clarify, a last semester grad can apply to ARCS, but a recent grad cannot. Can you clarify whether a last semester grad can apply to ARCS? Lyric, can you please tell me what, when you're graduating? I think that'll help me clarify the question. And a recent grad cannot apply to ARCS, but they can apply to NASA JPL directly for an internship. But for the ARCS Center that's based here in CSUN, you would have to have, I will graduate with a Bachelor's of Arts this fall. So by the time we do recruiting, we are looking to start in January, and you would have to be currently enrolled as a CSUN student. So it looks like you're not going to be enrolled. However, I highly recommend that you apply directly to NASA JPL internships and or full-time positions. Just let me know if I answered your question.
So our application, let me just elaborate a little more. Our application for ARCS itself, we work based off of a calendar year event. So when it comes to, I know somebody had asked about the paid internships that we do give to the fellows, that's for the calendar year. So when our application, it's for the calendar year. So we are accepting applications now for the calendar year of 2023. So if you're going to graduate this fall, you're no longer going to be a student as of January. So I know Joe had sent the links directly of the NASA STEM Gateway. Apply to that directly if you are going to be graduating. But if you're going to be here for part of the 2023 calendar year, yes, definitely apply. Once we get all the applications on November 1st, what we'll do is we'll take them all and we'll send them to all of our different PIs, and each PI will look at all your applications. They'll see those who want to work with them, and then they'll see they actually get the whole list of everybody, because what we do, we are transdisciplinary. So just because you're a psych major doesn't mean you can't work with a mechanical engineer professor. Or just because, like Kiana, she's a business major, she worked with Joe, she worked with our director, Newt Ho, who's a mechanical engineer. She worked with the Watt project with Bing Bing Lee, he's also an engineer. So we're transdisciplinary. So just because you want to work with a specific department, or you think you want to work with a department that relates to you, you might get pulled from another professor who wants your kind of background or your major to give insight to that project.
Definitely. A little bit about the Workers in Technology project, where we're using AI to digital or to mechanically pull out waste instead of having humans do it. There's an engineering management major, there's an MBA student, there's an electrical engineer, a mechanical engineer, a business analyst, and a business law student. And we're also getting another psychology person on board. So just to show you the range of people who are working with it. We have 5 more minutes left. So any more questions that I can answer, I would totally be happy to answer if you have any questions about my experience at JPL, the application process, or anything about the program. Please drop it in the chat. Is it recommended? Sorry, go ahead.
Were you able to answer the question about putting links to relevant work in the resume section? Did you answer that one?
Yes, please put that in the, please put your resume in the link section. Yes.
Thank you.
Is it recommended that a sophomore with 0 experience apply to ARCS, or should we build up some projects, experience, etc. first, apply to ARCS? I had no experience with mechanical engineering, with managing the director of this program, with building a 60,000 square foot thing. Apply. This is meant to give you that firsthand experience to say, hey, NASA, we gave them this experience to learn more about how your system works, and we prep them just for you. And that's how we create a relationship with them. Is it okay if we don't attach a resume? It's okay if you don't have a resume or you don't have any work experience or volunteer experience. We understand that. But if you do have like any sort of volunteer experience, it could be like volunteering at an animal shelter. We still want to see some type of involvement if you do have some. If you don't have necessarily like work experience, talk about what projects you've worked on in class. What coding languages do you know? What types of theories do you know in psychology or economics? And I would love to read that in the applications.
Also, Kiana, I'm just going to make a suggestion to the student that does not have a resume. You will need one at some point. So please go to the Career Center. If you go onto Career Link, we have a section on job search preparation. There's sample resumes and a lot of information about how to write a resume that can get you started. And then tomorrow, you've just led me up to tomorrow. We have an event called Resume Makeover. So you can bring your resume to Resume Makeover. You can sign up through Handshake, just like you did for this event. And you will be able to have your resume critiqued. Even if you have just a basic resume, we can give you feedback on that.
And I did that program as well.
Pardon me?
I did that program as well. That's exactly how I got my resume started. So I highly recommend it.
Great. Christina, I'm sorry, Tina, I cut you off. So what were you about to say?
No, I answered in the chat, but yeah, if you don't have a resume, I would just highly suggest you really elaborate again on like the long answered questions. I'm not quite sure if there's like a maximum word count, but I don't think so. But I would definitely elaborate on those long answers, because keep in mind the PIs, the faculty primary investigators are going to be the one reading your answers and responses. ARCS is something that you should be dedicated to. This is research, real life research experience that you get to work with external collaborators like people from NASA. We said Medtronic, Extensor. You get this real life experience that you can put on your resume later. Even if you have no experience now, like I know somebody said that. That's okay because you're going to volunteer and you're going to learn and you're going to gain that experience within our center. Sorry.
That's great. No, thank you for answering it. Thank you for it. That was great. There's no maximum count. I'll be graduating spring 2023. Am I still eligible to apply? Yes. However, your stipend from us may be cut in half because you're only fulfilling half of the fellowship. But yes, please do apply. We would love to have you. And even if it's for a short time, does volunteering at the Red Cross count? Yes, please add it. Can master students apply? Like Christina said, yes. Undergrad, graduate, postdocs, we want to see you. When is the resume? Okay, so that's there. Can a student going for a postgrad certificate before an MA program apply, such as foundations of anthropology, that word, knowledge, create a certificate at CSUD? Yes. Yeah. Lyric, go ahead and email me your exact situation and I'll forward this over to Joe and we can chat about how to get you involved.
That person may be taking coursework through Sang College. So just so you know, because if it's a certificate, it's probably coming through Sang College.
Oh, in that case,
if you're still considered a student, technically it should be yes, we can still accept you to ARCS.
Oh, perfect. Great. Mohammed asks, how is the environment at the JPL office in Pasadena? I love it. You don't have to wear business clothes. I'm wearing my little, I'm not going to show you my sneakers. I wear my t-shirt every day. It can come in sweats. It's really awesome, super chill. Or you can dress up in a suit. There's rovers all over the place. There's drones flying. In that door right there, it's the lady who drives the rovers on Mars every day. So she just codes it on her laptop. And that's normal to be sitting next to a high-ranking person. It's crazy, and I love it. It's the best place.
It's pretty exciting. So yes. We are going to wrap up today's session. I want to say thank you to Joe, who has gone on to the rest of his conference or the next steps of his conference. There's more to come. Please do fill out this survey because it really gives us feedback. I will try to share this with the team here at ARCS so they can see, the feedback from the students. Also, you will be receiving an email from me regarding the ARCS program. And so just keep that in mind. I'll be waiting to hear from Joe and then I will forward that email directly to you and you make some decisions based on that email as to what you want to do and the next steps that you want to take. Come on, folks, we can get more people to fill it out. We have 40 out of 51, but we like to have 50 out of 51 or even 51 out of 51. So please fill out the survey because it is very useful for us to see if we've delivered what you need. And you can see Kiana's putting things in the chat. In the meantime, I would like to say thank you for all the students that came to Internship Week. It's really been a great 3 days. Tomorrow again, or next week, October 25th, on Tuesday, October 25th, we have 87 companies coming to our career fair in the Northridge Center from 11 to 2 p.m. So I hope that you all come to that event and check it out on Handshake. You can see all the employers that are there. And if you need a resume, you can come again to Resume Makeover tomorrow, register on Handshake for that. And again, I see some students that I recognize from some other events. So I want to say thank you for supporting these events and hopefully you've learned some great things. I'd like to say thank you to Kiana and to Tina and to Joe for sharing this program because it is amazing. It was only a few years ago that this program came into being on this campus. So I wish I had this opportunity when I was going to school. So really take advantage of it. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up now. And thank you to my team for putting on this event. And we can close it out.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for
Yeah.
having me.
Bye.
And please contact if you